You guys, this is iconic to say the least. How are you doing?
Good, yeah.
I'm feeling very iconic at the moment.
Front row there.
There's a baby in the front row. We're obviously here to talk about Lord of the Rings. We're going to take questions from the audience. Jermaine is out there somewhere with a microphone. He's going to find you. He's going to give you.
Hello, Jermaine.
Jermaine will select you, and he will pick the question. Is that okay? And if you're already standing up, it's fine. How are you finding Liverpool this weekend? Have you had a good weekend?
It's been
Love
great.
it. Liverpudlians. Fantastic meals.
I didn't know the Beatles are from here. So that was a good thing to find out.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, from one Fab Four to another, and Legolas.
Yeah.
I've had that in my head for weeks.
Wow.
You're enjoying the city and you're seeing the sights, and I hope these guys have been good to you.
Yeah, it's been great. I took a walk around the city this morning, actually. I was up with jet lag at like 5 in the morning, so I just strolled out down to the museum on the docks. It was beautiful.
You're not implying that he's Yoko, are you?
No.
I think he's more kind of Brian Epstein, isn't he?
Yeah, he's running the whole...
George Martin. George
Martin, lovely, yeah. Very classy.
Yeah. You guys make a mess, he sorts it out. That seems to be the thing. We're gonna
just make him out.
We're going to dive straight into audience questions first, and then we're at number 1, and then I will jump in between if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Question 1. Hello.
Hello. It's very high, so it's not, for hobbits.
Hello.
I just want to say.
Hello.
I just want to say thank you for being here. We're all really, really grateful that you all made it here. And my question is, what is your most favourite line from the trilogy? Mine is salted pork.
I'll go first. Shall I get you a box?
Well done, Sean.
I mean, you bow to no one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the one that Gandalf does to Frodo about, it is not our job to decide, what I can't remember.
What to do with the time that is given to us.
Whether to take.
Were there any lines in that movie?
You get the idea.
Yeah. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard, of course.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
Everyone's taking my lines.
Taking the hobbits to Isengard?
I haven't got anything left to say.
Taking the hobbits to Isengard.
And you have my bow.
Yes. Thank you.
What's so funny is when we were talking about you guys coming over here, I went, yeah, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard, yeah, I suppose, yeah. A whole one. Where's the next question, number 2?
There's number 2 over there.
Hello, number 2.
How you doing? You okay?
How are you?
Question is for Elijah. Your last shot in Return of the King is, I forget the line now, not quite there's room for a little more. What's the juxtaposition of your character saying goodbye to Middle-earth against Peter Jackson, who wasn't really ready to let go of Middle-earth? Can you talk about filming that shot?
That's so interesting. It's a really good question.
Thanks so much.
I remember filming that, so that little bit of essentially finishing his part in the book in Bag End. And it was the last shot that I filmed in the entire, because we would go back every film. I'm sure all of you know this, but we would go back every year for additional filming for each film and do pickups. And so that was the last bit I ever shot. It was really emotional because it was so symbolic of the end of Frodo's journey and handing that over to Sam. The legacy of it, essentially, it's your adventure to take now. It's your story to write. All of the weight of that, and it was deeply emotional. Peter, Fran, and Philippa were sat behind the monitor, all of them crying. It's certainly informed on the sort of performance for me, the underlying. I mean, obviously, it's an emotional moment for Frodo, but in a different way, not in a sort of overt way. So yeah, it was heavy. But the sort of what you're saying, that juxtaposition of the end of Frodo's sort of Pete's then journey going forward, I don't think he quite knew in that moment that he would be carrying on, certainly not to Middle-earth again and to taking on The Hobbit, because we asked him while we were shooting Rings whether he wanted to make The Hobbit, and he wanted nothing to do with it. He wasn't interested in The Hobbit, and that kind of came later. But it was an incredible moment and very powerful way to end.
Thank you very
Can
much.
I ask a question? Elijah, do we know what the very last thing that was filmed for Lord of the Rings was?
I don't know, actually.
No, Sean, do you know? Does somebody know? No? We don't know
I
we don't know what was the last... No?
I suspect it would have been, it'll be
Plate shots and
technical,
stuff.
like...
But like last
miniature.
cast who was out, do we know who that was?
Don't know. There has to be a last cast moment. I don't know what that is.
Anyone knows here?
Yeah, who knows?
Well,
Someone
he does
else
know.
had
I was like, I wonder where I can find
Do you
Lord of
know?
the Rings superfans.
Was it not Gollum's reaction to learning Frodo was going to destroy the ring, and it was shot at Peter Jackson's house just before the awards because it was very, very late pickup?
Oh, it's
Very
Sure, Andy
possible.
said that at one time.
Well done. Thank
done.
you.
Hey!
That is a deep cut right there. That's amazing. It probably is.
I think we're going to take the next question from number 4 at the back over there. We're doing it like a clockwise type of thing.
We should probably make 3, 4 then. Can you swap
If you
those
didn't
numbers?
know, Dom has OCD, is really firing right now. You can't go 2, 4, 3.
1, 2, 4.
Hi. I was wondering what scene you found the most fun to film.
Most fun to film, is that right? Most fun to film.
There was a scene that really made me laugh a lot, and it was because of something that Orlando said. There's a scene where Legolas tells Merry and Pippin about lembas bread and how it's so good for giving you energy, and 2 small bites will, fill a grown man for a week kind of thing. And we were doing the scene and everything was fine. We'd set it up and then we'd stopped as they were moving a light or something. And Orlando said to me, came over to me and Dom and said, I don't know how to do this because when I'm doing it, it just feels like I'm doing an advert, advertisement for lembas bread. And after that, every time he tried to say it, I could just see him in a TV doing an advert,
It really did feel like that. It felt like giving an advert line. And that was my first time, right?
Was
Like,
it really?
yeah,
was
like,
that?
probably, yeah.
And we're sitting in that
No, but it was
little
my first
boat.
movie, so I was really I was like, wait, this just feels like
And it
an
was
ad.
quite a weird,
quite hard
because you
to-
had to walk over and just
Yeah.
basically say that, and we're just looking at you.
I remember that.
We had our own experience with lembas bread. Andrew Jack, the late wonderful dialect coach that we had, one of our 2 dialect coaches, he kept saying to me that I had to elongate the vowels. Elongate. So I would say the lembas bread. He's no, elongate lembas bread. The lembas bread. The lembas bread. He's like, well, elongate the vowel. I just frustrated the lembas bread, It's like the lembas bread. And we had the daily rushes, when you see the previous day's work, and it was at night, and the whole cast was gathered around, and I'm sitting next to Elijah, right? And it comes on, and it's a nice big fat close up, and big as the whole the lembas bread.
Is that, was
I
that
get
the
stuck. I get, potato. You know what I mean? It's like.
It's that country accent.
Well, that's a nice shiny apple.
That
was the line that they I couldn't quite do the accent the way they wanted us to do it. I'm just, slow or something. And Andrew got a tape of a West Country farmer. So, well, that's a nice shiny apple. So before every line of dialogue I ever did in the entire movie, I said, that's a nice shiny apple. Mr. Frodo.
We've got another question. I do apologise. We're going to number 3.
Oh,
Whoever's at number 3, can they have a question for Dom just to...
Yeah, it's my daughter's 8th birthday today, Harper. She's sitting 2 seats from the back. She's been lucky enough to meet you all. And yeah, she didn't want to party with her friends. She wanted the Lord of the Rings weekend.
Good taste.
So I was just wondering if you could all give her a happy birthday song.
Oh, sure. Harper, is it Harper, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, you ready, guys?
Ready
3,
when
2, 1.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Harper. Happy birthday to you.
Nice one,
Not
Harper.
anymore.
Could you tell I elongated the vowels? Happy birthday to you.
It's actually my birthday as well today. I didn't even ask for a song.
Birthday. It's actually John Rhys Davies' birthday today as well, apparently.
It is, yeah.
Happy birthday.
All the best people. Number 1, hello.
Hi guys, thank you so much for coming. It's been wonderful to meet all of you this weekend. Elijah, sorry I went silent on you. Nerves, horrible things. Anyway, question. Were there any decisions that your character made throughout the course of the trilogy that you didn't agree with? And if so, what would it be?
Is this for all of us?
Yeah.
Taking the hobbits to Isengard. Bad idea.
Well, I've got one that it's like slightly to your point, but just a little adapted, which always slightly frustrated me. In the books, when Gandalf is struggling to get to open the doors to Moria, it's Merry that solves the riddle for him.
Yeah, of course.
And I was on set, a 24-year-old young man, and Pete and Fran are very smart, very shrewd people. And Fran could always make me do anything because Fran's just a beautiful elven princess. And she came over to me and put my arm around me and said, Dom, we're thinking of giving that moment to Frodo. And I just went, oh. Why? And Fran said, well, we're trying to establish this stronger connection between Frodo and Gandalf before there's kind of a break between everyone, and it's important to just try and have those connections. We'll find something else for you. And you can't say, you're not in a position to say yes or no anyway, but I remember thinking, I don't have a lot to do in these films. And Elijah has quite a bit more than I do. So I didn't really agree with that.
I've got one. Yeah. So you know that there were many units: first unit, second unit, A unit, B unit, a helicopter unit, the insert unit, scale double unit. So sometimes Fran and Philippa would direct stuff, and we were doing the Cirith Ungol scene, and Sam was a reluctant ring bearer. When he thinks Frodo's killed by Shelob, and he takes it, he's going to pick up the mission. And then when he realizes he's not dead, he goes swashbuckling all the way up and kills Shagrat or Shag or whatever. And then Frodo wakes up and is like, "Give me the effing ring now," And I'm like, okay, well, they wanted me to have a moment where I didn't want to give it to him because maybe I wanted it for myself. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Sam wouldn't know. Sam's like, so your job as an actor is to do what they tell you to do, but you try and reconcile it with what you want to do. So if you look at that scene, I was having a bad wig day. My wig is like kind of stuck up in the back. It looks really stupid. And I do this thing where I pull it away for just a second. And what I was thinking to myself in that moment is, I don't want to give it to him because it's going to hurt him. And if it plays to them like maybe Sam's hesitating for himself, then I fooled them. Yeah.
Does anyone want to ask me a question? Because I've got to leave now. I'm so sorry. I've got a flight to catch, unfortunately, so I'll be out. But
who was your favorite Hobbit?
All four of you, all together at the same time.
Can I ask the question?
You can ask a question.
You said it was your first film, and then Dominic alluded to reading the book and finding out, obviously, his character was things. Did you read the book in advance? Did you know what was coming for Legolas, and how did you prepare?
Yeah. Oh, well, mate. You all right? Yes, I had read the books in advance. I'd actually read The Hobbit years before, but then I obviously read Lord of the Rings. I think for everyone it was like a bit of a Bible. I think Ian always said that, and it was like we would always refer to our characters from the book. And back then there wasn't emails. I used to send faxes to Pete and Fran saying, well, I think Legolas brings this news about Gollum when he comes to Rivendell, and that's a really important piece of information, you know, because that's the whole sort of, and so equally to you, you know, similar to you. I think we all had, you know, lots of ideas that we were attached to that we had to obviously let go of at different times just to serve the film, which I think, you know, obviously worked out really well for the film and actually for all of us in turn. But it was, there was just, I think you couldn't not have the books sort of inscribed in you, and I think there was a huge sense of responsibility that we all felt to bring these characters alive, you know, and it was certainly, as my first role, it was like, wow, felt like a lot of responsibility, but also, you know, we were super supported by the production, by Pete and Fran and everyone, you know, lots of movement training, lots of dialect. I mean, I think I was the first to get there, actually. I was like there, and then you guys came in, right? And I was like there for 3 months, and I was like, just kind of being taken to horse riding classes, and I was like, this is amazing. And archery and stuff like that. But then you guys came in. We flew together. That's a lie. We flew together.
Yeah, in a plane.
We flew together. We flew together. We saw each other in the airport, and it was really funny because it was his birthday, and we had a glass of champagne that was free, I think, right? Something like that. We were flying business, maybe. No? Were we? Is that possible? And yeah, but it was so funny. What was the first thing you said to me? I think you came over and said, "You look like an elf."
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, which is really weird because you wouldn't have known what I looked like, right?
No, I didn't.
No.
They just said you're flying with someone, Orlando Bloom, and he's playing the elf Legolas. And I was going down to get some money changed into New Zealand money, you know, in the little hut that they have in an airport. And I saw this guy, and I was like, he kind of looks like an elf. And I thought, I'm going to ask him. I said, you're not Orlando Bloom. Yeah.
And then it was your birthday, and we had a nice.
And then we learnt the poem, if you remember, on the flight, because obviously it's like 30 hours to get there. And we tested each other on one ring to rule them all.
Yeah.
Because we both had the book, obviously, and I was like, okay, go. How much do you know?
Oh man, I have to say that was so magical, wasn't it? Arriving in that country. Oh, yeah. Oh my god.
Do you remember when we arrived as well? They gave us the script in a leather bound with your name on it. It felt like so special, didn't it?
Yeah, there was so much.
That was
very magical about the whole period. Anyway, I just want to say thank you all very much for having me. I haven't done many Comic-Cons, but you've been amazing. It's been so nice to say hello and hi and take photos and sign things, and I hope you've all had a great one, and I'm sorry I have to dash off. And as for you lot, on your bike.
All the best.
So well.
Who was that?
He was lovely, wasn't he? Who was that?
He smelt lovely, didn't he?
Is he one of your friends? I feel like this is where the trouble's going to start now. George Martin's exited the picture, and it's just the Fab Four.
Feels like the teachers left, doesn't it?
I feel like there's mischief in the air. You alluded to going to New Zealand together on the plane and meeting there. You guys, I mean, you're a brotherhood. You are family. It's been 25 years this year since you started filming. Yeah. You were in New Zealand for about 2 years?
16, what is it? 16 to 18 months of principal photography.
First time,
Yeah.
And somehow you're still all really good friends.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
I mean, we're family. You know?
Is it more than that? Yeah.
It transcends friendship. I think one of y'all said it's unconditional. It's like we've seen each other through so many different phases of each other's lives in 25 years, you know.
You've got like kids now? What's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have friendships for this long. I said this at the last convention, I think, is you obviously see all colours of those humans and you accept them all because you love all parts of them. You love the good and the bad because you're like, well, I just want to know you in however way you show up, you know. That's really, for me at least, that's what it means to be a friend, is like, when it's good, I'm still your friend, and when it's bad, I'm still your friend. You know, that's how it works.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like there's a lesson in it for people. You know, the big curiosity whenever we would go anywhere right after the films came out was, you know, is it true? Is it real? Are you really friends? Do you really like it? Are you really like your character? You know, the fantasy was so wonderful that people wanted to confirm it, that it's actually real. And when you are part of a project that you're proud of and it's important, you go into it and there's an expectation that you're going to, you know, as a professional, you're going to have a good relationship. And I suppose sometimes maybe it doesn't work out like that, but when you go into it with that intention, it works. You know, human beings are pretty powerful. We set our intention right at the beginning and it hasn't changed.
And did you spend a lot of time together before the shoot, like rehearsing? Like Orlando would have gone to horse riding school. You guys would have learned to smoke pipe weed? I don't know. So a lot of those movies, you're just smoking and eating.
Yeah.
Like some of my friends are like that, but you know.
We did. Like Billy said, he flew in with Orlando. I think I was the last out of the gang to get here because I was finishing off a job. But very quickly we jumped into full days of script rehearsals, dialect training, horse riding, sword fighting, kayaking. What else were we doing?
Wardrobe fittings.
Costume fittings, makeup tests. Putting the feet on, putting the ears on, walking around, scale double rehearsals. It was I thought I was going to get there because I knew that it was a ways off, probably at least 5 or 6 weeks off before we started principal photography. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm just going to be in New Zealand for a month and a half hanging out. But every single day apart from Sunday was spoken for, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got there in August. We didn't shoot till October.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when we got off,
we were working all the time, you know, prepping.
When we got off the plane, there was this urgency. Oh, you got to get right to Weta. They're going to have a thing. Oh, they're going to show you this thing. And I remember a lot of times thinking, like, when did they plot it out?
And we did so much canoe training, and I don't think I was ever in a canoe.
But if you would have been in a canoe, you were ready.
I was, yeah. If they ever needed me in a canoe, I could do everything in a canoe.
Yeah.
Also, it was brilliant because I think was Sean Bean in the same canoe as Orlando?
No,
that was John
Rhys Davies.
But at one point,
Orlando kept flipping it over, and John's like, "Oh my God," you know.
But there was something that happened with Orlando and Sean with the kayaks because they got in some sort of spat where I think one of them was I think Sean, because Sean could be quite fun and silly. I think Sean was kind of splashing Orlando, and then it kicked off with it. And just watching those two having a fight was kind of fun.
That is quite fun, but the idea of Sean Bean being fun and silly is something that's...
Oh, Sean Bean's hilarious, man. Sean Bean is hilarious. He's just very droll, very Yorkshire, you know what I mean? So it always comes out like that. But he's very funny, very funny.
We had we met him at the same time, right? We met Sean at the same time.
Sean Bean?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we were playing. We were in Queenstown, and you and I were playing 007.
Oh yeah.
Video game, which was very realistic violence, and
GoldenEye, obviously.
GoldenEye, right? And he played 006.
That's right.
And so we had the door open to the dressing room that we're sitting in. We're playing, and I can't remember who was who, but 006 comes on the screen and boom, bullet shot right. He drops and then he walks by. We're like, oh.
Also, we should say, because this might be quite fun for the crowd out here, we went out for dinner last night and we were trying to teach Elijah to do a Scouse accent. Or just give us a little...
Chicken.
Yeah!
That's your work, that isn't it? Teaching them. Oh, I love it. Chicken and a can of Coke.
Wick.
Yeah.
Wick.
As a Scouser, I am honoured that you can do our accents.
We had a couple of drinks last night, but his accent last night was perfect after a couple.
Just sitting in about 8 gear.
Was it La?
I taught him La
yeah.
today.
La, yeah.
Because I really like that in Liverpool, the whole, see you later, La.
Yeah.
How are you doing, La? So I was teaching those guys.
Quite a friendly city, aren't we?
Very friendly.
We welcome everyone
Very
to our
friendly.
city.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Number 2, girl, have you got any chicken? No? What question have we got?
I'm really sorry. I'm effing nervous. Sorry. My name is Evie. I'm from the Netherlands. And my question is, what is the weirdest or funniest thing ever happened to you, like on a premiere or like with fans, kind of things?
I mean, it's not so weird, but kind of extraordinary that that's not really what you're asking. So
That's weird.
yeah. But the
Subjective.
the premiere for Return of the King in New Zealand was a parade, and I have never in my fucking life experienced a citywide parade for the film where it was like the event of the city, and people were on top of buildings and out of windows, getting a view of this parade. And we came down Courtney Place in vintage cars, and it was.
But some of the stats,
wild.
I think it was something like 10% of the country
were
at
there.
that premiere, which is
Not including sheep.
Yeah, the sheep had a day off.
We went to Japan, which is an amazing country, beautiful, beautiful people. But sometimes when you do these TV shows, like if you're doing the One Show or something like that, they might ask you to do a couple of little throws to what's going on. So they might say, hey, could you just say, hey, I'm doing the One Show later on, tune in, or I'm here with Billy Boyd, we're doing the One Show, we look forward to seeing you. And the 3 of us, if not the 4 of us, did a show called Pooh in Japan. Do you remember? And we had to do all these throws of like, hi, I'm Elijah Wood, and you're on Pooh. That was a bit weird. And we're all jet lagged. That was a strange thing. You remember that?
I'm remembering now. Japan is amazing. The TV shows were a gas. Oh my god, it's so funny.
They're deadly. You don't know what's going to happen. They oh, and the guy next to you just got an arrow in the chest. Okay, now I hope the light doesn't come on me now. When in the Wellington thing, they had a huge airplane painted with all of us on the side of the airplane, and it did a flyover of where we were filming.
Yeah.
And have you ever watched the when the American president is elected and the motorcade is coming down from where they take the oath of office, and then the president always makes a spontaneous stop of the vehicles and gets out to show they're a man of the people, and they walk through. That's what we did, and there was more red carpet. It was like half a mile of red carpet to walk on. You're like you were walking forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be up there on the strange meter.
That's the biggest one, yeah.
So when you did the press tour, obviously you guys would have been everywhere, all over the world, and you would have done that together as well. I spoke to Brad Dourif last year. He said he was partnered up with Christopher Lee, and they did their press events together. Were you guys together? But I also
there's a famous.
What is it?
In interviews, did we get paired?
Sometimes
We got paired. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would get paired.
Yeah, it was. One time I was with
Sean and I.
Christopher Lee, and I've no idea why.
Well, that sort of is where I'm leading. The question is because Christopher Lee was allegedly the inspiration for James Bond. He was in World War. He killed dudes. And I was going to say, have you got stories about Christopher Lee and what were like working with him? Because Brad Dourif said he greeted every different nationality in their own
language.
Yes.
Yes, he spoke multiple languages.
That's right.
Elijah and I watched him. We were on set one time, and Elijah and I watched him. he took a Bic pen, you know, like a biro, and he just threw it at a tree, and it stuck in the tree like a knife.
He and I sat next to each other on a flight from Auckland back to Los Angeles.
Oh boy.
Well, you know, he's an older man, you know, and
Yes.
I'm a talker, so I was like,
Well.
I'm just going to be, it's true, I know. I accept myself for who I am. But I just thought I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to give him his space or sleep or whatever. He turned like this, and I turned like this, and it was 10 hours of nonstop talking between the two of us. And then when we went to Paris, and he brought me to a club on the Champs-Elysees. He had one of these, gentlemen's club sounds like strippers, but it was a club.
For gentlemen.
Yeah.
Gentlemanly.
They know. Yeah, it's like something out of like out of James Bond. And we went in there, and it was like he made a big. It was a thing that he brought me into this club, and we stood out, and he's like, "This is where we stood, like when the war was over." You know, yeah. It was pretty. You know, when the parade happens, when they, yeah. So
Do you
it was.
remember in Paris as well? I think it was like Dior or something. There was a store, or like an expensive, fashionable store, and his wife had went into the store, and there was one wall was like wallpaper of an old picture, black and white photograph of a model, you know, beautiful young woman. And she says, "Do you know who that is?" And they said, "No, we've looked for years and we don't know who it is." And she says, "It's me." And it was Christopher Lee's wife.
It was Gita. Wow.
Isn't that brilliant?
He also smoked cigars, and he invited me at one point, like to, you know, like a mentor. Yeah, come have a cigar. And the two of us sat on Stone Street and smoked a cigar together. It was freaking rad.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He was lovely.
You got to obviously work with some incredible actors, and obviously he was one of them. Your story about the pen, I had the same thing, but he threw a nail into a dartboard and got a bullseye from across the room. Yeah. Like, Jesus, that dude was.
He would have done poorly at an autograph signing show. I'll tell you that right now. He can do a lot.
Made albums, like made heavy metal albums as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have seen in the DVD extras his farewell speech where he's almost in tears and he's saying to all of us, we were all there, like, and obviously he's addressing Pete more than anyone else, but he's saying like, in my entire career, I've never done anything this great, and you guys have done something extraordinary, and I'll always remember this. And he was very moved by it, and that's Christopher Lee. I mean, what?
Don't judge me. But on my TikTok, I just watched that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. My TikTok's been hijacked by Lord of the Rings behind the scenes stuff, and I'm seeing things I never saw before.
That's amazing.
The algorithm has learned that I'm really interested in myself.
Just need to learn more
Mine
about
is just dances. I'll learn all those dances, TikTok dances. I love them.
Billy was trying to teach us a Korean dance, but we never got round to it to do it.
I'm not going to ask you to. I might ask you. Oh, you want to do it? No. Okay. We're going to go and take a question from number 4. Sorry.
Hi, my name's Danny. I'm going to apologise to Elijah in advance for this question. So I'm doing this on behalf of a friend, and the question is: when?
You don't have to.
To be fair, I actually think it's quite a funny question.
All right,
it doesn't help that I'm a chef, so I've added to it. So apologies again. When orcs say meat is back on the menu, does that imply that they know of the existence of restaurants in Mordor? And if so, how do they eat said meat? Do they marinate it, or do they like to just barbecue it?
I know.
Apologies.
This is the thing that happens in modern writing for old times. It happens a lot. In Star Wars, the Last Jedi, there's a whole like when he's talking to General Hux, and he's like, hold for General Hux, like it's a fucking telephone call. I'm sorry, like let me patch you in. What are you fucking talking about? Is that a phone? So the same thing, like meat's back on the menu. What menu are they talking about? It's definitely it's that thing where you just take liberty because it's a fun joke, you know. It's a good bit of
what
writing,
doesn't
and
help is
it
he
gets attention.
cosplays
But
as Luke Skywalker, so that's just made it even.
what's that?
He cosplays as Luke Skywalker, so you've just made that even.
Oh well,
funnier.
perfect. I tied it all together.
I think you buried the lead on that question when he says sweet meat.
Is that the same quote though?
Is that the one you're talking about?
There is a sweet meat, but I think it's a different character.
Whatever,
different
but it's the
moment.
same general reference. It's the
Sure, but
same.
meat is sweet. That she's implying the notion of a restaurant with the.
I think
meat's back on the menu.
you're conveniently skipping over what's being served.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah. Well, in that.
It's us. Sweet meat.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
Number 3 at the back. No more culinary questions, please.
No, it's hi. First of all, thank you for bringing us Lord of the Rings, greatest movie series of all time. But my question is for Billy and Dom. After the Battle of Isengard, one of the most iconic scenes of when you're both smoking Longbottom Leaf after the battle, what character could you spawn in with you to share that with you, and why?
You mean a character from the Lord of the Rings world?
Yeah, a character from Lord of the Rings, book, series, or movie.
Well, I mean, like the easy answer for someone to be sat enjoying pipeweed with would probably be Gandalf the Grey, right? I mean, he's fond of it.
He loves it.
He's fond of it. And just to slightly digress on your question, Pete had actually said to Billy and I when we were doing that scene, let's do a few different passes of this. Let's do it tired. Let's do it excited. Let's do it drunk. Let's do it inebriated on pipeweed. We'll just leave it at that for the kids in the audience. But what do you think?
You don't mean do it as though. You mean do it.
He wanted us
Yeah,
to act.
I understand.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil.
Oh, Tom Bombadil would be great.
Be fantastic. Sit and smoke a pipe with him. That'd be fantastic.
Smoke it all himself.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It'd be like a 10-hour flight with Christopher Lee. He'd tell you some stuff.
Went by in a blink.
I love Tom Bombadil.
Before we move on to the next question, obviously, we've not really spoke about Peter Jackson, who at the time was primarily known for horror films and like Heavenly Creatures, like a New Zealand drama, and then to give him the keys to the biggest fantasy franchise in existence and to make 3 films consecutively at once was possibly a bit of a surprise. What was your relationship like with Peter? How was it working with such an incredible filmmaker and a gifted man?
I remember being really thrilled when I heard that he was directing it, actually. I was a big fan of his work, primarily Heavenly Creatures and The Frighteners. And it weirdly made a lot of sense to me, especially Heavenly Creatures, which is a kind of, it has fantastical elements as it pertains to their dream world that they create for each other. And it's also rooted in real human drama, these characters that are going through a pretty heinous thing in their deep relationship, and then ultimately this murder that they carry out together. I love that film so much. So I was just, I was thrilled to work with him and to go down to New Zealand, and I'd heard tell of the sort of world that he'd created down there with Weta and the effects company and the kind of things that they were creating, and it sounded thrilling and exciting, you know.
So my father, John Astin, the original Gomez Adams in the Adams family, he played a character called the Judge in Frighteners, and he had his jawbone sticking out, and he'd been dead for a long time, and he had a bloodhound that had been dead for a long time, and he came to my wife and I had a little house, 2-bedroom house in the valley in Los Angeles, Sherman Oaks, and he and my stepmom came over with pictures of his experience with Weta. And he showed the entire mold process, and he basically introduced us in the pictures to Richard and Tanya, and he just described this filmmaking experience, this fantasy world that was, like from another time, another world. I mean, and it made it so I was so envious of him when he described it. And then when we got the movie, when I got the movie, I was like, I'm going to get to go and do what my dad did. And then when we got down there, Peter has what they call in the military command presence. He just is very confident, and he inspires confidence in everyone who's around him. And he's either always prepared, or he can fake it better than anybody I've ever met. And you just sort of, it doesn't seem like such a big thing that they handed over the keys to this big thing to him. They would have been missing out if they didn't do it. He presented a huge opportunity for them. And that you only had to look at for 2 seconds at the concept design work and the little bits of video, or whatever, like computer simulations they did. And it's, so yeah.
Brilliant answer. Were you guys the same?
Yeah, totally. I think he's like, people throw the word genius around, but I think he is a filmmaking genius, and I think his whole life had led up to that. Like, he was making masks on himself to learn mask making, when he was younger. So years and years of learning all these skills that you felt like he could go into anyone's job on set and do it perfectly, So he was absolutely the perfect guy to do it.
And weirdly, he went on to do the Beatles movie as well, didn't he? That's really strange.
And they're from here.
We have got 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. I have been talking your ear off for nearly 45 minutes, guys. I appreciate your time, and I know they appreciate your time. We've got time for one last question, and I'm going to let you pick it.
Oh, really? What the number?
Go.
Where were we last?
So,
sorry.
3 was the last one.
We were at 3 last. I'm getting a lot of people saying that the number one should go. So we'll give it to the number 1. Sorry, 2, 4, 3.
Hi, thank you for that. So you were mentioning TikTok before, and this is just a funny question to kind of end the afternoon. I don't know if you remember, Dom and Elijah, you did an interview about 20 years ago. That has
never
kind of
forget.
resurfaced.
I think I remember.
And I kind of just wanted to ask if there are any updates to the following questions. Do you wear wigs? Have you worn wigs? Or will you wear wigs? And when will you wear wigs?
I do. I have. I certainly will again. And as to when or where?
It was when, I think.
When?
Yeah.
When will I wear wigs? There's actually a movie called The Toxic Avenger that's a remake of a trauma film that'll come out sometime later this year, hopefully. I wear a wig in that.
Okay, cool.
You know what's funny about that thing, though? And I'm sure it's funny about some of our other experiences in Lord of the Rings. Certainly for me, with that particular thing that went on, you can never tell ever what's going to catch fire. If someone were to say to me, in that Lord of the Rings experience, what are going to be the moments that are going to stand out? I might say, oh, this and that. I would have never said, oh, this silly little interview that I did with Elijah is going to have some sort of abiding legacy. But Billy is on TikTok all the time, and I know Sean is as well. Constantly, Billy will be like, that wig thing is on again. It's on again. It's on.
We have the same TikTok.
Yeah, it's...
You know what? We never think about this. Hans Jensen should have his own interview show.
Yeah, I pitched it to Pete.
Did you?
Because Pete loved it so much, and I was like, why don't you, knowing that it's Hans Jensen, why don't you let me interview you as Hans? And Pete was like, oh, that's a good idea. It didn't happen, but maybe at some point he'll let me do it. Yeah,
I think that's a series in the waiting. When I kept under my hat that I was doing this, and when I said to people, I'm doing the Lord of the Rings interview, in my head they were going to go, oh, you're interviewing the Hobbit, you're going to do this. First question for the first person I told was, well, did they wear wigs? I'm not joking. I am not joking.
Well,
it's bigger than the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that it's not just that. They're the game they made up, the TIG game, and there's at a certain point, people wanted to extend their experience of Lord of the Rings into the making of it and into our friendships and so it's that kind of stuff.
And even though I think the "When will you wear wigs" line is funny and kind of came out of left field and all that kind of stuff, my favorite line in that thing is "The dolphin is dead." Died in a car accident, because you watch Elijah's face and he goes, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So.
And I think that perfectly encapsulates both your friendship, your brotherhood, and the whole making of the film. And it's a perfect place. It is. Thank you very much to put a pin in this panel.
But you should be clear with them. The dolphin did not die in a car accident.
And unfortunately, that is where we do have to end it. Liverpool, thank you so much. Please give it up for
Thank you.
Wood, Sean Astin, Billy Boyd, and Dominic Monaghan. I'm just going to get off the stage for a second and just leave these guys. If you guys just.
Oh, what's that? You want to do? Yeah, I'm not good at this kind of thing. So I can do this. So we lost a member of our family this morning. Bernard Hill passed, King Theoden, and so we just want to take a moment before we walk off the stage to honor him. He was supposed to be here. He was supposed to be here today and yesterday. With him. So we love him. He was intrepid. He was funny. He's gruff. He's irascible. He was beautiful.
We just we were watching it actually, I think, and we were talking about the movies, and I said to Dom, I don't think anyone spoke Tolkien's words as great as Bernard did. I think the way he just he grounded those words into a realism that he would break my heart when I saw him on the screen. He was a wonderful man, and he'll be sorely missed.
Yeah, he will. So, our king.
Thank you all.